Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Bo Bichette's name once again is flying around the rumor mill as trade possibilities left, right, and center for the offseason are coming in. What will the Toronto Blue Jays do today? We're going to break it all down and what looks like a possible replacement for Bo Bichette.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasco. Carter First, too, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And as well, if you're new here on YouTube, make sure you drop that subscription. It really helps us out, keeps us at the top of your guys' page. We are in the midst of making a new Discord. For anybody listening that wants to join, you can throw ideas around in there. You can talk Blue Jays, do whatever you want. We will maybe, do something special for the Discord joiners or something like that as well. And then as well, if you're on YouTube, there's a little bell icon that you can hit, which notifies you every time we post a video. So if it's a live, if it's a short, if it's whatever, I think it's customizable as well. So you guys can hit that if you want as well. Lots of stuff to get into today. Holy moly, what a packed show. Bo Bichette, his name has been flying around the rumor mill once again of being traded in the offseason. So at this point, we're getting to the stage that it's pretty much cemented that this is going to happen. And then, no, it's never 100% true. But with all of these rumors, I'm taking it a little bit more, more certain than I was before. Then we're going to take a look at sort of what are the options if Bo Bichette gets traded? Who's out? Who's available? Who's going to take his spot? And then, of course, we have a little bit of a series recap and, of course, a series preview as well. So it is a jam-packed show. We're going to try to not keep you guys too long, but we want to get our ideas out there as well. So, Carter, why don't you kick things off with the Bo Bichette rumors here?
These are coming from Bob Nightengale, a fairly trusted source. But again, John Morosi was a trusted source. And we look what happened with Shohei Ohtani. So again, we got to read into these things because obviously they have been reported by analysts that have some reputability. But again, it's not for sure. It's not a guarantee. There's still a lot of season left. Bo Bichette's injured as well. So lots of things to consider here. But this is a great talking point and a talking point that a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans are going to be interested, us included. So this is from Bob Nightengale, like I said, and it says the Toronto Blue Jays are expected to entertain trade offers this winter for shortstop Bo Bichette. And he continues on and says, who has no plans to stay in Toronto once he is a free agent after the 2025 season. So that's where there's the speculation is I don't think this is a report from Bo Bichette saying that he does not want to be a Toronto Blue Jay. Again, you can read into things. We've talked about what we've seen from Bo Bichette on the field, the mannerisms, just the what he has said in on the internet, on with interviews, stuff like that. And you see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He has shown interest on staying with the Toronto Blue Jays long term. I haven't heard of one thing that I can remember of Bo Bichette being like, yes, I really want to stay and play for Canada. I really want to stay with the Toronto Blue Jays for a long-term time or contract. So with Bo Bichette, a lot of interesting things to go over. Again, I said he was injured. I think that's probably why these trade plans are linked for the offseason. But again, you look at if the Toronto Blue Jays and Bo Bichette cannot come to a mutual agreement, you think the Toronto Blue Jays would probably want to keep that under wraps. You'd want them to have the highest amount of leverage as possible. But there's a lot to talk about with Bo Bichette. It's not the first time, unfortunately, we have talked about Bo Bichette trade rumors. But, Braden, what are you digesting from this news from Bob Nightengale?
Well, this comes sort of after a lot more rumors happened around the trade deadline and what was going to happen. I believe there's one from Ben Nicholson-Smith as well. So there's a lot that goes into this, right? Again, you have to think, hey, is there any contract talks that's been happening? I would assume at this stage, with a year left on his deal, that there would be talks with Bo Bichette. But if nothing's happening in those meetings and nothing's getting done, or they're not even coming close to an agreement, at this stage in the game, the Blue Jays are probably looking to be like, oh, well, we don't want to let Bo Bichette, who led the league in hits multiple times, walk for nothing. So at this stage, they probably are thinking, okay, we either have to get something done before, the middle of the offseason, or we have to shop them around and see what happens. And so I think the hearing the offers part of this more so comes down to that. I think if they had the choice, they would keep Bo Bichette around. But obviously the attitude isn't there from Bo Bichette's side to stay around. I fully believe that the Blue Jays are probably trying to give Bo an offer. And it's probably a fairly competitive offer. I don't think that it's that they're going to lowball Bo Bichette with the seasons he's had and the star talent that they need to have on this team to keep butts in seats. But at the end of the day, if a player doesn't want to be somewhere, it doesn't matter overly how much money you pay them. You could overpay, and if they don't want to be in Toronto, they don't want to be in Toronto. So my takeaway from this is 100% that Bo Bichette doesn't want to be here. If he wanted to be here, I fully believe that a deal would have been done by now. So I think we're at the point, Carter, where almost we have to start looking ahead. Okay, what's the option? And that's what we're going to do in the second segment. What are the Blue Jays' options here if Bo Bichette decides to leave? My biggest thing, Carter, that I mean, we talked about this over the weekend even a little bit with some Blue Jays fans, is how upset are you if Bo Bichette does leave? I think is the big question that the fans should be asking themselves, their friends, when they're talking about Bo Bichette. Think about who's better that realistically the Blue Jays can get. So at the end of the day, what I'm asking you, Carter, is first of all, what are you taking away? Second of all, how distraught, how bad is this for the Toronto Blue Jays? I guess at the end of the day.
So for my personal opinion and just my feelings towards Bo Bichette, no, I definitely do not want him to leave. I mean, when he's at his peak, he is a top 5 shortstop in all of baseball. You're not going to get a guy like Bo Bichette just from a random trade. You're not going to get a guy just in a draft unless you have a very highly touted pick. Bo Bichette is, I wouldn't say he's like once in a lifetime player, but he's a very good player that you can build around. And at that shortstop position, isn't playing the highest caliber of defense, but he has gotten better over the last 2 seasons, so that's not necessarily hurting you. So for me, I don't want to see Bo Bichette leave. But then again, you look at just the Toronto Blue Jays from their standpoint. If you know Bo Bichette is leaving, or at least you're not close on contract extension talks, you do want to get something for a Bo Bichette trade. You're going into 2025. I think for me, it's fairly obvious that if you want to compete for 2025, Bo Bichette's going to be your best option at doing that. Because I think with the leverage they have with all these reports coming out, and we're not even we still have a quarter left of the season. Like, we still have a lot of games to play here. So a lot more articles and reports can come out about Bo Bichette. So I think the Toronto Blue Jays leverage and Bo Bichette's trade value is only going to go down, especially with this injury stuff, especially with the season he's had. So with Bo Bichette, like, you need to get something back in return for him. You can't just let him walk at the end of 2025 and have nothing to show for it. That's not going to help the Toronto Blue Jays unless they do go all out and win a World Series in 2025. So at that point, it doesn't really matter for me. I think life will be fulfilled if the Toronto Blue Jays win a World Series. I'd probably be good for like 20 years after that. But going into Bo Bichette, like, I do love the guy. I definitely can't say I have any like ill feelings towards him. Again, it kind of sucks the way if he is leaving this offseason, the way he kind of did it, having a down year. The fans a little bit jumping ship. It's pretty 50-50 along with Bo Bichette. But if you're looking to win for 2025, you probably want Bo Bichette on your team. But if you know he's going to leave for the future of this team, if you don't think you can compete in 2025, which Ross Atkins has said multiple times that their goal and their intent is to compete in 2025, then at that point, you can move on from Bo Bichette. But yeah, for the future, I think it does make sense to move on from Bo Bichette. But I'll leave it with this. My personal opinion, I want Bo Bichette to be a Toronto Blue Jay for 2025. And if you're going to decide to move on from Bo Bichette, I think you got to evaluate where you are in the 2025 season. And if somehow they are sellers again, which, again, it's kind of a coin flip at this point, then you have to move on from Bo Bichette at the trade deadline.
Carter, at the end of the day, for me, this feels like a pushing the panic button moment in this Toronto Blue Jays season, franchise, this run of this core that they built around. This is an absolute, they aren't just understanding where the panic button is in the room. They are actively reaching for it. Because if you cannot lock down Bo Bichette, and I know there's going to be some people in the comments that are going to say that they can absolutely still build around Vladdy, they can build and come back next season. I fully believe you're wrong. I think if Bo Bichette leaves and you trade Bo Bichette, there is no way that you are a contending baseball team next season. So if the management group decides to go down the route of trading Bo Bichette, which they might be forced into, this might be a Bo Bichette forcing a panic button for this organization. But this is where we're at. And if they do decide to do that, I think they have to understand the position that they are in. They have some decent young talent now that are close to being, they're either MLB ready or they're very close to being MLB ready. So maybe you're not looking at the 2025 season as your contending year. Maybe you're pushing it back a little bit and thinking, okay, we're still going to have, if we can lock something up with Vladdy, we maybe go for 2027 when some of these young guys have developed into the players that they are most likely going to be, like Will Wagner, like, all the other guys, Spencer Horwitz, Ernie Clement, hopefully is still playing well by that point, and you can move him into another role after his development in the big leagues. So this is I think for the next 5 or so years, this offseason will be a defining moment to see where this franchise can go from here. And that's what I'll be excited to look into. But Carter, the biggest question is, and I mean, we've sort of been over this Bo Bichette stuff a little bit because the reports keep coming out. The biggest question is, with Bo Bichette seeming like he's going to part ways with the Toronto Blue Jays, what are their options? There's a lot of them out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of free agents we're going to go over right away. But what are the Toronto Blue Jays going to do? Are they going to try to build in-house? Are they going to spend in the market and try to get somebody else? We're going to talk about all that, Carter, coming up here in the second segment. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the Toronto Blue Jays options for 2025.
Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. So we got the Cincinnati Reds coming off of an unfortunate series loss against the Chicago Cubs. Maybe Joey Votto makes a return here, but unfortunately today, not going to be putting any money on Joey Votto because it's not confirmed. But for me, I got to hammer my Vladdy more than I've been riding that a lot this season, especially after the All-Star break. Been working pretty well for me. I'm going to assume that Will Wagner is going to be in the game. It is available, so I got him for more than 0.5 hits as well. Hopefully he can continue his hot streak. But if you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download Prize Picks and start making your picks today. You can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, run your game.
So, Carter, like we were talking about, the Blue Jays options moving into 2025, if they do decide to trade Bo Bichette, and yes, most likely that deal would be massive. No, they are not going to let themselves be underpaid for Bo Bichette, I think, because you still have a year of control left with him. But, Carter, I did a little bit of digging, looking into who the shortstops will be available on the market going into free agency. I'm just going to list you off some guys. I think as we go through this list, you tell me what you think, if it's a possibility, first of all. Second of all, if they would be you think if you're interested in having them as a Toronto Blue Jay. So let's start at the top. Willy Adames. Could you see this 29-year-old he'll be 29 probably going into next season. Can you see him, honestly, first of all, can you see him as a Toronto Blue Jay? Second of all, would you want him as a Toronto Blue Jay?
I would definitely want him as a Toronto Blue Jay. Willy Adames, a power bat that you would need, a guy that has shown that he can be a consistent MLB talent player. My issue with this is that, does he want to win? Does he want to win? Do you think he's going to win with the Toronto Blue Jays? I'm not exactly sure if the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be, well, I know they're not going to be a World Series team next year. Who are we kidding? Unless somehow they can get Juan Soto, Alex Bregman, Anthony Santander, and just absolutely load up this team. And they do have the money for it. And they could throw the bag at Willy Adames to give him an offer that he cannot refuse. But it's kind of where he is at the point of his career. He's made a decent amount of money. Does he want to make more money and sign with the Toronto Blue Jays for an extended period of time? That would be up to him. Or does he want to go to a contending team? Maybe he signs back with the Brewers once again. They're not looking too bad over there. Definitely looking better than the Toronto Blue Jays. So I definitely want Willy Adames to come over here. I just don't really see it being realistic.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I'm at too. Willy Adames was making $12.25 last year, so $12,250,000 last season. And yes, I think this would be a great addition. Do I think it's realistic whatsoever? I really don't. I think this isn't a guy that is going to go to a lower team. I think he wants to win, and I think that, I fully believe that he'll re-sign with the Brewers. I think that's just going to be what is going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a huge process. Moving on, this second guy, I think, is a somewhat realistic possibility if the Blue Jays, again, I think they're going to have to give him more and overpay. but I think this is more of a realistic option, and that's Ha-Seong Kim. And so he was making $7 million last season. He's going to be 29 as well. And Carter, I at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know this doesn't Ha-Seong Kim doesn't bring you the power bat that you're probably looking for, but I think as a quality shortstop, as somebody you're looking to bring in, maybe on a shorter contract, I think this would be a great move for the Toronto Blue Jays if Bo Bichette does decide to depart.
I don't love it. I'm going to say I think he's also a restricted free agent. So again, he's got to opt out of his option. Maybe he does do that. I think he's probably better than $7 million a year. But you're looking at Kim. What does this team need? They don't need another versatile infielder that can play third base, second base, shortstop. Yes, he might be better, have a better floor than a lot of these players that we have on the Toronto Blue Jays right now. But we need a power bat so desperately. And Ha-Seong Kim just does not move the needle for me. I don't even love the fit, to be honest, because, again, like we're assuming that Bo Bichette's gone here, but Ernie Clement would be a great candidate for me playing shortstop in this position. I think he can offer you very similar things that Kim can also offer you, more of a contact hitter, a guy that can play literally anywhere in the infield as well. You get Leo Jimenez. Do you want him to have a future with the team? I don't love this Ha-Seong Kim signing. I don't think the Toronto Blue Jays is going to do it. Doesn't really make sense to me. It just kind of reminds me of like another IKF signing almost. Just one that I wasn't necessarily on board of for 2024, but look how that turned out. So maybe it would work out. Maybe I'm just completely wrong on this, but not necessarily a fit that I like with the Toronto Blue Jays either.
That's fair. To be honest with you, I like Ha-Seong Kim. I think he's a very nice player. I think he would fit into this lineup. Yes, don't get me wrong. He absolutely does not bring the power bat, but he does hit home runs. It's not like he's, incapable of it. I think personally that they're going to get a shortstop that they can play good defensively, that maybe is a more hitting for average guy. And then they're going to go and get somebody hopefully in the offseason that they can put in, left field, and maybe that be your power bat that they acquire. That would be my thinking if they go the Ha-Seong Kim route. I don't really mind this. I think I'm on the other side of this than you are. I would not mind Ha-Seong Kim at all. The Willy Adames, again, going back to that, is so unrealistic. I think a Ha-Seong Kim is, out of the two so far, the most realistic possibility. Going forward, Carter, a couple more guys. A couple guys I'm just going to sort of pan over here because I don't think that there's any kind of fit here. You can tell me, you can jump in and tell me if I'm wrong. Kyle Farmer, I don't think is an option here whatsoever. Miguel Rojas, also not an option.
For me, that would be one of the higher options. Again, I don't love none of these shortstop really give you the power option other than my boy. If you don't say him, I'm going to say him. But then Willy Adames as well. Obviously going to give you some home runs. I just think Ernie Clement can be better than a lot of these players that you're listing.
Okay. Then we go on to Enrique Hernandez. I don't think is again.
I don't love that at all. I don't like him with the Dodgers whatsoever. I think he's just going to be another Kevin Biggio, to be honest. Don't want another one of those guys on our team.
I agree 100%. Then a couple more guys that I just think are just unrealistic options here. We'll get into some more, I think, possibles right away, but some more unrealistic ones out of the free agents at the shortstop position is Brandon Crawford. I mean, he's, 37, 38 years old. He's going to be in 2025.
I also think he's having a terrible year right now with the Mariners. He just doesn't look great.
So Brandon Crawford, I don't care. Ahmed Rosario, again, I don't love this one at all. I think Ahmed Rosario is completely just overrated and won't help the Toronto Blue Jays.
Provide you good defense. If you want a defensive substitution for Bo Bichette, probably going to be even worse than Bo Bichette and not provide you much upside with the bat either. That's why I believe you got DFA'd a couple weeks ago. Just not a great look. Again, the shortstop market this upcoming season, you got really the top two. Yeah. Other than that, you're going to have to make a trade. You're going to have to try to get some MLB talent in a trade if that's the direction you decide to go with Bo Bichette.
Yeah. There's a couple more guys on here as well that I just don't care about that aren't going to be on anybody's list. There is one guy.
Yeah, I'll let you go first, but if you're not going to say him, I got the perfect fit for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, so the last guy on this list he would have been my third option out of Willy Adames and Ha-Seong Kim is, of course, a guy that I knew you were going to bring up, and that's Paul DeJong. He's really the only other guy on this list that out of the free agent market here is any bit of a possibility. And I know I'm just going to throw it to you, go off, talk about it. Tell me why you think this.
Okay. Do I want Paul DeJong to be a Toronto Blue Jay again? No, absolutely not. This was one of the worst players. Again, he had like a month and a half tenure with the Toronto Blue Jays, but what do you have, like 3 hits and 60 appearances, something like that? It was absolutely horrendous. And then he went to the Giants, I believe it was. I can't remember if it was for sure the Giants, but he went somewhere and then he hit like 2 bombs in the first series. It's just like, yeah, okay, thanks, Paul DeJong. did a lot for the Toronto Blue Jays. But look at the year he's having. He's hitting I think he's hitting 240. He has 20 home runs. That's good for second on the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, you look at the OPSs. I believe Horwitz and Vladdy are the only ones with higher OPSs than Paul DeJong. So you look at the stats. That's probably why the stats fool you a little bit. I don't think Paul DeJong's that good of a player. I hear the word around the street is that Paul DeJong just doesn't want to play for a good baseball team. So, hey, that's another reason why you might want to play for the Toronto Blue Jays. But you look at the Chicago White Sox. What do they have? 30 wins. Not a lot of pressure over there. Maybe Paul DeJong just kind of likes to keep it loose, keep it easy, not play for anything too crazy. Doesn't want the pressure on him per se. So I don't love the fit for the Toronto Blue Jays. You're not going to perform with the bright lights on.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't love this at all. It would be sort of, a comeback story, and maybe he just goes ballistic with the Toronto Blue Jays in the comeback. But I don't like this. I really just don't. I think there's one option if you're going to go in the free agent market, and that would be Ha-Seong Kim. I just don't think the Willy Adames is even a possibility. And even Ha-Seong Kim, I think, is a long shot. Anybody else on this list, I just don't love at all. I think it's going to have to come from a trade, Carter, or we have to talk about, okay, what do we have in-house here if Bo Bichette doesn't re-sign? And that's a guy that I think there's, again, your one option right now, and that's Ernie Clement. I don't think there's another guy right now that's going to fit into that role. I think Ernie Clement is the number one option in this case of no free agent signing, no trade signing. And yeah, I just don't know, Carter. I to be honest with you, I know you like Ernie Clement there. I do not want Ernie Clement playing shortstop for this ball club in 2025.
I just don't know who's better. Like, Kim's slightly better. You're going to have to pay a lot more for him. You're not paying Ernie Clement really anything right now. Willy Adames, you can throw the bag at him. I'm sure he would sign if you give him a huge contract. And it wouldn't be the worst thing for the Toronto Blue Jays because they do need the bat. More of an athletic type at the shortstop position. Probably more flashy player. Going to be more fun to watch than Ernie Clement. But for me, I'm not going to say Ernie Clement is going to be even a top 15, top half of the league shortstop. He's probably not going to provide you that. But he's going to provide you good defense. He's going to hit in the 7 through 9 spot. He's going to go through hot and cold stretches, have a couple hot stretches where you can carry your baseball team. But overall, he's just, for the Toronto Blue Jays, what he should probably be is either one of their lower hitters on a normal team or just a bench bat, a guy that can come off the bench and be probably your first bench bat that comes in whenever there is a player that does need rest. But you look at Ha-Seong Kim, you're probably gonna have to pay that guy $12 to $13 million, and he's gonna give you 4 points or 0.4 points, so 40 points over your OPS line. Might give you a slightly better average, but he's never done that throughout his career. Ernie Clement right now is at a 268. Probably going to provide you a little bit more power. It's not really turning the needle for me, but with Bo Bichette, I want him to stay. I really want him to stay bad. But you gave me kind of a scenario thing where you wanted me to see which shortstops I liked for the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to throw a scenario right back at you, and I'm going to give you 3 different things to rank, and it's just kind of where Bo Bichette is going to end up near the end of this offseason. So you have 3. You can rank 3 things for you. It's just what's just most likely going to happen. So it's just personal opinion, whatever you think is going to happen in ranks 1 through 3, 1 obviously being the one you think is most likely. So 1, Bo Bichette is traded in the offseason. Number 2, Bo Bichette, it gets an extension, signs a completely new contract, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, doesn't matter, just signs some sort of extension, or absolutely nothing happens. They hold on to Bo Bichette and they go into 2025 with Bo Bichette as their shortstop.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I'm going to start at number 3. What I don't think is going to happen. What I don't think is going to happen is that there is going to be a contract extension. I think that is the furthest thing from Bo Bichette's mind, from anybody's mind. I just can't see it happening. The second most likely thing is that he's traded in the off season. And the most likely thing I think is going to happen is that they're going to go into 2025, no decision made. It just seems like par for the course with this management team, this front office. I just don't think the move is going to be made. Maybe they get to the deadline and they pull the trigger on a move, but I think he gets underpaid for and the Blue Jays ship him. Or he just rides it out and they think, okay, we're going to get a deal done for 2026 and then nothing happens and we let Bo Bichette walk for nothing. I just have very little hope in this management group on being able to get things done. And this is part of it. I really think they want to try to keep Bo Bichette and then they're going to shoot themselves in the foot by not moving him at all.
Well, the wording they used on the article that I read was they were entertaining offers for Bo Bichette. So that's not meaning that they're actively shopping and they're like, hey, we need this guy off our team. That's, for me, is they're listening in. If anyone offers them something that they really like, pull the trigger. I think for sure, if you know Bo Bichette, again, this is a conversation they should have internally, get at least something for Bo Bichette. He doesn't have to be outright, hey, I don't want to play for your baseball team. Probably not the greatest look with over a year left on his contract. But if he can give you any sort of like just inkling that's like, hey, this is sort of where I'm leaning to. And again, he's been with the organization for so long. You got to be able to read somebody at least a little bit. He's been with the organization forever since he got drafted, I believe in 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. So you got to be able to read Bo Bichette. If he wants to leave, get what you can for him, I guess. But if you want to compete in 2025, like this front office has drilled into our heads, which a lot of Blue Jays fans are not exactly agreeing with them. And I can definitely see why they're thinking that. And I'd say probably I'm more so on that side as well, unfortunately. But you got to have a big offseason. Bo Bichette, again, even if you keep him, if you don't, you're going to have to add to this team in free agency. But with Bo Bichette, I don't see them making a move in the offseason as well. Just don't necessarily seeing it happening. If you get a huge return, sure, go for it. But I just don't see Ross Atkins putting the right tools in place to make another big trade happen.
Yeah, man, it's painful to see, to be honest with you. I think it just kills the fans a little bit. Like that's sort of where I'm at right now, is that I'm sort of in a state of lull. Like I don't know what is going to come next. I don't know what dumb decision is going to be made. I feel like there's been a lot of those over the past few years. Again, I love the trade deadline. I think Ross Atkins did a great job at the trade deadline. But overall, I look back over the past 3, 4, 5 years, and I think back to all the moves, and I'm like, oh God, like this could have been handled way better. This could have been done way better. So I don't know. It sort of is just killing me slightly. And then with all this information coming out about Bo, it just sucks, man. It really does. Just before we get going, so we have to obviously do a little bit of a series recap.
I got one more thing, just a little quick
go
on
for
here.
it. Yeah.
So if you did see Bo Bichette get traded, you don't look at the return or anything, just overall, you just see a headline: Bo Bichette is traded to wherever. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you to see that headline?
I'm not happy at all. Like I'm like a 1, honestly. I want Bo Bichette to be a Toronto Blue Jay. I think it's ridiculous to think that you're going to get anybody better right now. I think this would make the team worse. At the end of the day, you want Bo Bichette to be a Toronto Blue Jay. You cannot handle the trade, I think, as a fan. You're going to be upset. Even if the return is unbelievable, I think you're still going to look back and be like, wow, we had one of the best shortstops in the league, and he's gone now. I don't think you can be happy about that. And you guys can tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Don't get me wrong. Are you sort of where I'm at, or would you be a little bit more ecstatic?
I'm like 50-50 on this. I think I would give it like a 5, because for me, if I'm this management, if I'm looking at this team, I'm looking at 2025 and I'm saying that we're not competing. I like maybe they make the playoffs, but are they going to compete for a World Series? I just don't see it happening. So if they did see it, if they do make the trade, I'd be very nervous to start off and be like, I don't know what they gave up. Like this could be an absolute fleecing. If the Toronto Blue Jays get fleeced in any trade, I'm not going to be happy about it. But say they get some prospects in return. For me, this would be more of committing to a rebuild. Maybe you take 2-3 years rather than just trying to turn it around and compete in 2025. They have a goal to compete for like 2026, 2027. I think that's incentive for Vladdy to stay. I think that would be incentive for Bo Bichette to stay. But if you do trade Bo Bichette, then you do get prospects. You at least get something good in return. You're not going to trade Bo Bichette for nothing. So if you're looking at a retool or rebuild for 2027, even 2026, that's the direction I think this team should go. But again, you lose a premier player in the league. You lose one of the best shortstops in the league. Definitely not going to say I'd be happy about it, but I'd kind of be in the middle. It would suck for 2025, but it'd be better for the Toronto Blue Jays future.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. Like I understand what has to be done. I just think it's going to hurt me deeply to believe that, to see Bo Bichette leave. And I think that's the direction we're heading in. But again, I just don't have faith that this management group is going to do anything at the end of the day anyway. So maybe I won't see that headline at all.
See, it's tough because, like, you look at where the Toronto Blue Jays were even 4 years ago. They say in 2021, all the optimism we had about this team, it's be a lot different. Even if we had like an ALCS, even played in an ALCS over the last few seasons, let's just take a step back. Let's get a playoff win. Maybe I'm not gonna be happy then, at least we say, hey, like it wasn't a complete joke. Like it sucks that we're having to have this conversation in 2024 about, hey, is one of our best players going to be traded in the offseason? Are the Toronto Blue Jays even going to have a skeleton of a team to put out there in 2025? It's a tough conversation to have, but unfortunately that's where we are at with the Toronto Blue Jays. But definitely would have liked to see a couple more playoff series wins at least before we had this conversation.
Yeah, dude, it sucks. It sucks. In saying that, we're watching baseball. It's on. And we want to always thank you guys for watching. I mean, we hope you guys love the content. And thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. And, of course, like I talk about, make Locked On MLB your guys' second listen. Host Paul Sullivan, Sully, our guy, absolute beauty. He does an excellent job over there at Locked On MLB. prepare for the fall classics and the playoffs with Sully. He has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube, wherever you guys get your podcast. Same with us. It's on everything. Yeah, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with series recap, series preview. We're not going to go too heavily into the games. I mean, again, we lost the series 2-1 to the Cubs. So it's like, Jesus, you know what I mean? So we'll take a look ahead to the Reds. We'll do a whole breakdown on it here quick. And we're not going to keep you guys too long. We know the Bo Bichette news is the big thing of the day. So we hope you guys enjoyed that. But in saying that, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know how much I love FanDuel. I've been getting killed on the bets. I'm not going to lie. I was on such a hot streak. I pulled out a bunch of money. I was thrilled. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep $50 in the account, see if I can build that back up. Lost it all. Terrible. Terrible. Don't take my betting advice. Make your own or use their same game parlays, their pre-made ones. It's unbelievable. You can see who else is like riding the bet with you. It's pretty cool. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 to get a 3-week free trial NFL Sunday ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's unreal. Take advantage of this. I'm telling you, go throw $5 in the account, get a 3-week free trial, do it. I know me and Carter are both going to take advantage of it because we got football to watch. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel it anytime. That's FanDuel. That's why they're the best. Take it or leave it. Throw the $5 in there. Just do it. FanDuel.com. I'm sorry, Carter. I almost just kicked you right out of there. Let's take a quick peek back at sort of the series that I don't know, Carter. To be honest with you, like if I wasn't the most diehard Toronto Blue Jays fan of all time, this would be a series that I would not care less about. The Friday game at least was sort of interesting. I mean, it goes extra innings. You sort of love it. 6-5 Cubs sucks. Then you go to Saturday, another close game. Like it just sucks when you're saying that we're having close games with the Chicago Cubs. Like it hurts my soul. I know, shout out Cam Poitras, running sports anchor for Jets at Noon as well. A big Cubs guy, and it just pains me to say that we're in the same breath as the Chicago Cubs. 3-2 loss on Saturday. Sunday, Blue Jays win 1-0. Just some terrible baseball, to say the absolute least. But, Carter, let's start on the Friday. Let's take a quick peek, and then we'll sort of go through, because I know there's something big from Sunday's game that you want to talk about as well. So looking back over the Friday game, Yariel Rodriguez goes 5 innings, gives up 4 earned. Not really what you want to see from him. I was a little bit disappointed. Springer gets a hit with 2 RBIs. Ernie goes 2 for 4. That's nice to see. Will Wagner again, beauty, absolute beauty, stud. Leo Jimenez goes 1 for 4 with the home run. That was sick. That was a fun game to watch, Carter. Anything on the Friday game that really stood out to you?
It's just the fake comeback. The typical Toronto Blue Jays fake comeback. You're in a good spot. Like George Springer, just a clutch at bat, sending you into extra innings, hits a triple. You obviously don't get that run from Dalton Varsho. It is what it is. But you go into the 10th inning, you have Vladdy up, then you have Spencer Horwitz, Alejandro Kirk. Like you have these guys that should be able to drive in a run from second base. You don't get it done. And then Chad Green comes in. Like I have all the confidence in the world for Chad Green, but you don't get that run in. Kind of knew the game was over. Seiya Suzuki hits a ball into left field. See ya. That's it. Other than that, nothing crazy here. Like Will Wagner continues just to be a huge beauty. Leo Jimenez, those home runs are obviously going to be awesome to watch, especially with all this Bo Bichette talks we're having right now. Wouldn't be the worst thing if that guy wanted to start playing some better baseball, even though he has been playing pretty good for a guy that just hasn't really logged a lot of MLB experience. Obviously, this being his first year. Other than that, not too much for me. Just a tough loss and just kind of how the Toronto Blue Jays season went. Just a little bit of expectation. Then you're out, then you're sort of back in a little bit, and then now you're completely out as they lose. Obviously, we've been out for a while, but they lose in extra innings.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the Saturday game, looking at that game, I mean, Bassett, just not what you want to see from him either. The starting pitching wasn't great over the Friday to Saturday. We'll get into the Sunday game because that's a topic I know you want to cover. Bassett goes 5 innings, gives up 3 earned, gets 5 Ks, I guess, whatever. Varsho goes 2 for 5 again. He's sort of picked it up lately. He's looked a little bit better, which I'd like to see. Vladdy goes 1 for 4. yeah, everything else, Carter, I mean, just sort of sucked. Barger had the home run, which was nice to see. Besides that, pretty whatever game for me again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for me, these games, like Friday was probably the best game to watch from like an MLB fan perspective. For me, obviously the best game was the Sunday because you got to win, but 1-0, like that sucks. We'll get into that. And then 3-2, that was for me the most boring game of the weekend, just because not a lot happened. Like the Blue Jays were pretty much dead from like the third inning. Aston Barger's home run, that was awesome. Obviously, again, when Aston Barger hits home runs, pretty much anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays, they're gonna hit a home run. With the lack of home runs we've gotten this season, I'm gonna be pretty excited about it. For me, I'm just gonna let's do a quick little exercise here, just ranking Toronto Blue Jays home runs, just which ones are the most fun to watch. For me, I'll start at 3. We'll just do the top 3. I'll do 3, you do 2, and I'll do number 1. I think we both have our number 1 as pretty obvious. For me, number 3, Spencer Horwitz. When this guy gets a hold of a baseball, holy, it is so fun to watch him, especially that fourth home run. Unbelievable. I'll throw it over to you. Who's just the second favorite Toronto Blue Jay to hit a home run?
Yeah, I look back at the beginning of this season, and it's Davis Schneider for me. Still, to this day, I know he's not playing well, and that hurts me to my very core. But, man, when he was firing on all cylinders, hitting bombs, it was electric, dude. So I really hope we get to see more of him. I think his season this year is just shot. I think there's nothing left for him. I think he's going to have to fix some stuff in the offseason, and that's what he's going to have to do because when he is good, man, he is fun to watch. My number 2 is Horwitz as well. So,
yeah, that's fair. My number 2, if Jano was still on the team, probably would have been Jano. I don't hate the Davis Schneider pick, but I'd probably say Dalton Varsho for me. Both side home runs, obviously Rock as well. And then number 1 shouldn't really be up for debate. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. When that guy gets all the baseball, just one of the greatest things you're ever going to see. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the second game of baseball. You just kind of spin zone it to another segment because there was just not a lot going on, unfortunately, for the Toronto Blue Jays.
No. But then obviously looking at the Sunday game, I mean, round of applause, hat tip, flowers, whatever you want to give them. Bowden Francis is an absolute dog. An absolute dog. 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 7 Ks. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. That was fun to see. I mean, the game sucked. The game's 1-0. It was a terrible game. But Bowden Francis, if you're a pitching defense guy, Bowden Francis, man. Great day for him.
That was the Bowden Beauty game. Bowden Beauty beatdown. Just absolutely dominating out there on the mound against the Chicago Cubs. Just love to see it. I'm going to get more into Bowden Francis next episode because I think the minute and a half we have here to cover him is just going to do him injustice because I was always in on my boy. Definitely wasn't as vocal about it, especially when he had like a 10 ERA through the first third of the season. But Bowden Francis, you might have a little bit of what Paul DeJong has. Just doesn't like to pitch when it actually matters. Because, I mean, going into these games, obviously a very unbelievable game today. Just his command, just ridiculous. Some of the strikeout pitches, they were all around the corners. So obviously you're going to get beat when you're over the middle of the plate. That's one thing that went well for Bowden Francis. But that's my boy, Bowden Francis, just battling for a rotation spot next year. Just at least a bullpen spot. I've always been in on Bowden Francis out of the bullpen. He has had some sputters, obviously, through the starting rotation, but obviously great to see him go 7 innings for the Toronto Blue Jays, especially when their bullpen, not the greatest. But other than that, Joey Lopervito, just nice home run to see there, especially with the wind. I think the at-bat before, I think it was Davis Schneider, had a weird pop-up that went like 40 feet right on Michael Busch. He was started out like almost in the middle of first and second. The wind just took him all the way out in foul territory. Guess good play by Michael Busch, whatever. Then Joey Lopervito absolutely launches, pull side home run. Love to see it. That's really all I got to say.
That's it. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, we can leave it there. The Joey Lopervito home run was fun. I'm pumped to see what he can do and what he can bring. But
first one was a Blue Jay.
Yeah, exactly. So good for him. Carter, looking ahead, today's game, obviously Toronto Blue Jays versus the Cincinnati Reds. Game 2, or that's game 1. That'll be Green versus Gosman. I don't know, whatever. The Tuesday game, Jose
That
Brios.
might not be a lot of offense in that game, unfortunately.
No. Tuesday game, it's Jose Brios. They don't even have a starter listed for the Reds, so take with that what you will. And game 3 will be Martinez versus Yariel Rodriguez. So that one might be an interesting one to watch, honestly. Like, I think that's the one I'm sort of most excited just to see what the offense can do against Martinez. But we'll have to wait and see. We also, Carter, have our first slow pitch game tonight. I'm ready to rock. I am so fired up, dude. It's the same team that we've beaten now the past 2 years, our best competition in the past 2 years that we've played. We mercied them last time in a, just crazy game. I think my body was as beat up as it's ever been. I was diving all over the place, making plays at the shortstop, whipping the ball around. But I don't know, Carter, you're at bats against them last time. They killed, I think you had 2 triples?
Yeah, I was just, I'm spraying the ball. I'm not a home run hitter, but I can place the ball pretty well in slow pitch. So I just try to take advantage of where the defense line up against me. Just don't. Here's a tip to the defense: just don't line up 3 outfielders against me. You're probably going to get beat. If you have 4, probably going to have a lot better of chances. That's like the Alejandro Kirk day and night splits. He just hates the nighttime. That's how it is for me. 4 outfielders going to be a little bit of my kryptonite. But yeah, I just try to hit the ball hard. That's all I do in slow pitch. Try to hit the ball hard, find a gap, and just keep the lineup going. Again, doesn't work as well in mixed as it does in men's, but you take what you can get.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's a big week. We have mixed. We play mixed and men's. So playoff weekend is this weekend for us, and man, there's going to be a lot of beverages consumed. It's going to be sickening, but not too many. Hopefully that we won't be able to play because we've won it back-to-back years, and we hope to do that again. We got some good teams though, new teams. They're coming in and they're beating up on teams. So we'll see what we can do this weekend. We'll sort of keep you guys updated maybe on the Monday of how it all turned out. Carter, I guess before we sort of head out of here, you got anything else?
No, just shout out to you, Billy, just for just keeping the podcast afloat. Obviously, it's been a lot of fun. I wish the Toronto Blue Jays were playing better baseball. That is what it is. But just wanted to kind of pump your tires up before I said this. Just be who you are, Billy. Don't be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. when you're out there being Bradley Zimmer. So I just want to say that right now. So I wanted to go for a little 1-for-1. We bring you up and then put you down right after. So yeah. That's my advice for the week, and just continue to put the body on the line. We got a battle this week. Toronto Blue Jays battle week, maybe a Joey Votto battle week. We'll have to see what transpires there. There might be rumors that he's coming up against his former team. Hopefully he does. God, that'd be just an unreal surprise for the Toronto Blue Jays. Not a lot going on, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Just a big week of baseball for us and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be throwing the body in the line. This team I hate losing to so much, so I will be trying to stop every baseball. I'm like the Elia De La Cruz of the slow pitch league, where sometimes the easy plays don't get made, but then I'll make a 40-foot diving slide to make a play. So for those of you who don't know, Elia De La Cruz is unbelievable and stops as many runs as possible with his crazy defensive plays. But then he bobbles easy balls for some reason. He's just the weirdest defender in the entire MLB. So go look that up if you guys want to. There's a bunch of stats on it. It's crazy.
Well, I think you're faster than him too, actually. Like you challenged him to a race, he backed down. A little bit unfortunate.
He was scared of me. We wanted to do the what's that one where they run around like the foul pole to foul pole?
Oh, it's like the freeze race or whatever.
Yeah, the freeze race.
Yeah, you and Ellie De La Cruz will the next actually Toronto Blue Jays game when they got the Reds coming up. You're gonna be there on the Wednesday and just be ripping around.
Yeah, I'll be running. I think I'm gonna give him a head start because I'm obviously just way quicker.
That's fair. Yeah.
Well,
I think you're taller than Ellie De La Cruz too, so you got a lot going for you actually.
Yeah.
Plus, you only 6'5", like you're looking down on him for sure.
Imagine me versus Elia De La Cruz in a beep test. That's what I want to see. Like back from like the old high school days, I want Elia De La Cruz versus me in the beep test. Actually, is that endurance-wise?
Yeah, we had beep test. Yeah, we also had the beep test. I think I can't remember what was good in the beep test. I think I got like 10-5. I think that was better than most kids. But again, I wouldn't say ESS is the most athletic school of all time. Definitely going to toot my own horn too much, other than my grade 6 long jump record. Just still holding that for, 11 years now? Just maybe not that long, but it's probably pretty close, actually. We're getting close to the 10-year mark for me. So congratulations to me. Just the best grade 6er to ever do it on the long jump spectrum there. But yeah, I guess we could probably stop taking away the people's time just to kind of talk about nonsense here. But I do want to say, if you guys are still hanging on, thank you guys for watching. We do obviously appreciate you guys listening until the end of the episode. We have a lot of good things. We try to start off with the most intriguing topic, but honestly, with us, we just kind of start yapping, and then we talk about a lot of important things. Just kind of dragged out for a decent amount of time, but we do try to keep it interesting. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. I've noticed that about 68% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you're coming back or listening this far into these podcasts anyway, it helps us out a ton. If you do subscribe, keeps our videos at the top of your page. But other than that, let's just kick it off into the week.
Yeah, quick one more thing. Make sure you guys go check out Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan. Sully, our guy again. I like to give the guy shout outs. That show is unbelievable. And so go check that out. We're big fans of it. I mean, we're watching constantly and, keeping everything up to date because it's hard, when you're paying so much attention to one team, you sometimes forget about the stories that go along, across the entirety of the MLB. Sully has it all covered. It's fantastic. Again, check out it. Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, of course, your team every day. And in this case, your league every day, I guess, if you want to call it. So again, like Carter said, really appreciate all you guys watching and listening. And you know what? Let's kick it off to a good week here. We'll go get the baseball win for you, and we'll report back tomorrow.